The Roots of Success podcast is for the landscape professional who's looking to up their game. We've got a brain trust of experts to help you nurture the roots of a successful business and grow to the next level. This is the Roots of Success.
Hey, Tommy Cole here, and I'm on site in New Orleans, Louisiana with my friend Chase Mullin of Mullen Landscape. We are experiencing the Mardi Gras experience of a lifetime. We've had members here all week since, I don't know, the weekend, and it's Fat Tuesday, post-Fat Tuesday, and here we are. We're a little struggling, a little lack of sleep, but we're Chase has volunteered his time to open up the doors into a lot of peer members that are sort of merging. We're going to ACES 2.0, and Chase has volunteered his time and all his business and his team to be here. How are you, Chase?
I'm doing great. I'm happy as I could be to be here on Ash Wednesday, the day after Fat Tuesday. I was joking before we started recording that I canceled our family ski trip to host you guys.
Yeah.
So proud to be hosted, man.
That's
it's
cool.
Always great to be partnered with McFarland and Grow Group.
Yeah, that's great. So Chase, tell us a little about yourself, landscape, the business. Man, you hosted Grow in 21. 21, it feels like an eternity since we've been here. But tell us in general, if you're not aware of Mullen Landscape in New Orleans, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, and funny you talk about hosting Grow. So we did the first, I think, post-COVID Grow.
Post-COVID.
Which is crazy. COVID 5 years ago now. So obviously no masks. It was great to shake people's hands as they walked through the door. So I started the business, Mullen in 2007. Went to college for a while. Wasn't my thing. Really kind of started Mullen in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. My initial vision was 2 crews. I thought we'd have a crew doing maintenance and a crew doing construction.
You were good.
That was good. Yeah, I did some back of the napkin math. Really, it would have offered me a
good lifestyle. Yeah.
And cool. I'll tie Marty Grunder into the story. So year 1 in business, I go visit Marty. And, I did a field trip at Grunder, which
you got
if you've never been to Grunder, it's
great starting point.
Yeah, it's a place. It's a sight to behold. So, going there, I think I was 22, maybe 23 years old, and going to Grunder and seeing all the green trucks and the uniform crews and everything had a place and everything was in that place. And I told Marty Grunder on that trip, I said, Marty, I'm going to go back to New Orleans. I'm going to do this. And he smiled.
So the vision changed a little bit.
Yeah, the vision changed immediately. Yeah, and that was it, man. I came home and that's what I set out to do. I was very fortunate that, in the early days, I guess, I partnered with a couple of different landscape architects and quickly developed a list of I guess we'd say clients in the right neighborhoods. And so we moved into what I'd call kind of a high-end design build company. And that served us really well for a number of years.
So how long is that? So you started
I started in 07, so we're in 2025. I think probably 2015. So that's eight years into business, 2014 maybe. We decided that instead of trying to grow, we wanted to continue growing. We knew that. And so we really came to the determination that to grow, we'd either need to move markets and expand that design build, service area, or maybe grow in different segments inside of the market that we were in. And that's when we started pursuing more commercial business. We knew that we were good at construction. We were doing some maintenance. We understood, I think, and started really learning about the recurring revenue model with maintenance. And so that's what that's really what we set out to do, was to grow our commercial business. We experienced in that period of time almost zero growth on the residential end outside of some...
Just kind of plateaued?
Yeah, with purpose. Plateau with purpose. COVID gave us a little spike, unanticipated spike, which, we were there. People needed things and wanted things. And, we were willing to do them. But last year, we took a really hard look underneath the hood, I'll say, of residential design building
versus commercial.
You're
doing both, which is not the easiest.
And again, we had built a foundation of built this company on the foundation of residential design build. Now, I guess it's worth sharing. There's some things that we learned from residential design build that we've carried over to the commercial services we offer, and that I plan to keep forever. And a lot of it's the white glove experience.
Totally.
It's really high level service, quality work, and I'd like to think that we're producing quality at the top end of the commercial market. So anyway, last year we took a hard look underneath the hood, we'll say, of residential design build and really spent some time analyzing not just the people that fell inside of that division, but also some of the people that may have been crossed into another division, but we're spending a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
And what we learned is that we really weren't making very much money. We weren't making much money. We knew that it was a pretty big strain on the business. Nothing against any, residential design build businesses, but for us, for us, it was difficult. It was difficult revenue to produce. I feel like a lot of the team here, not every single person, but a lot of the team, we've kind of like got the feathers in our cap, so to speak, on these residential jobs. We've done some absolutely beautiful, incredible jobs for some great clients. And I think in a lot of ways we accomplished what we needed to accomplish. And so, kind of like Jim Collins talks about in his book, Good to Great, we really embraced the hedgehog concept, which we had talked about. So once we did those analytics on the residential design build department, we made the, in a lot of ways, tough decision to, I keep using the analogy, like turn it off like a water hose. And so on January the 6th, we turned it off like a water hose. Shut it off. We reached out and made some connections for some of the team that we let go to make sure that they'd, land softly and find new employment. Yeah. We have just thought of a landscape architect, a guy named Benton Williams. I'll give him Benton a shout out. We're sending a lot of business to Benton. He started his own Haas Landscape Studio, his own small design shop. So, we're happy that we're able to send, what would have been our work. We don't have to just turn the clients away. We can send them to him. And, it's helped in the last 2 months. I think he's starting to build a nice foothold in the market in terms of high-end, residential landscape.
So let me ask you this. This is a really good question. Or not people, but business owners start to reflect after many years in business, right? Things can change, which is totally normal, but you saw this vision of residential commercial, and you thought of this vision of like going in on all commercial, but there's also some challenges which people are like not aware of, or it's a headache. Is like, how do you get the team on board? Like you're going to have some, why do this? Why, I thought we were doing good. Like, how do you get the team motivated and on board to say, this is what we're going to do and moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that some of it is A, like having the right team, but B, like you said, even if it's right people in the right seats, they still aren't always going to buy into it.
Not always, yeah.
So what we did, some of it with intention and some of it almost unintentionally, was over the period of several years, we just talked about it. What we talked was the truth, right? Where we experienced difficulty with honest residential sales, we're experiencing difficulty with different clients. We've had a lot of commercial wins. We've done well. We opened a branch in Baton Rouge. We bought a new facility in Baton Rouge a little bit over a year ago. I guess almost a year and a half. That's been thriving. And so again, it's like the people here were able to really just like observe and listen to what we talked about as a team, right? Like sending out the message of truth. And I think it helped kind of prime and prepare them for what was to come. I talk about Benton, and we had Ben and I had the conversation about us, dissolving the division that he was running. He said he knew. He's like, I knew at some point this is what happened. Yeah,
that's what we're discussing as a team.
It was a surprise, but not a surprise, right? And like I said, it's a really hard decision to make because we've done some really cool jobs and worked for some great people, and I've made some long-standing friendships as a result. But ultimately, we had to look at like what's best for the team, what are we best at, what do the clients get the most value from, right? What's best for long term.
And I also think you got to look at your market too, right? And so as a company owner, you got to look, if you're still growing, you got to find other opportunities to grow, because you got to keep elevating your team. Your team is like wanting to grow. So quite frankly, I think what you realize is like there's not an opportunity to grow and expand. We kind of own the market where we are, and you can't necessarily really expand that high residential much further than what you've already worked. So one of the avenues was commercial.
That's right.
And this isn't just like commercial shopping centers down the road. This is like intense commercial.
Correct.
Really well thought out, highly, landscape architects, designers, interior designers. There's a lot, whether it be a warehouse or museum, parks, which still has that touch. So that's your awareness to see growth, to elevate the team. Difference than 2021 now in 25 years to get it down the road from growth.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So so now you're full commercial. Right. So you've opened a new branch a year plus ago, which was a big, awesome, exciting thing. Tell us about you opened a branch, but one of the things that owners struggle is like, how do we get the same brand in our branch here at the mothership, which most of everyone is, but how do you get that same brand in another physical location? Were you able to bring people from here? Did you hire within somewhere else to continue the brand? Did you set up the same similar operation as you did here, as you did in Baton Rouge, or what?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was hoping that you would.
Yeah.
So we started, initially in Baton Rouge, which is about an hour west of us. We started sending trucks from here.
From here. Yeah.
So essentially, it was more or less a loss leader. And that was primarily we were following customers that asked us to do work for them. Eventually, it was probably 3.5 years ago. We leased a small yard. It was not a pretty yard. It was not a nice part of town. We put a job site trailer in that yard. It was not a pretty trailer. It was candidly, it was like almost embarrassing to pull up to. We moved. We had a really strong, he's a 15-year crew leader. We sent over there, so he's running one of the crews. He's been really instrumental in kind of like onboarding a lot of these crew members into like the Mullen way and move around crews at times to train. But we had this, really just not sexy.
Well, that's the best part about this. I'll interrupt you, but like, it's not like you need this awesome new place to start. You're kind of like getting your foot in the water, foot in the door of testing things out. It might be a longer commute. It might not be the sexiest. It's just a container and you've got a few trucks just to test out the process. And then after you evaluate it,
then
you take the next foot
then
forward.
we take the next step. Right, we go from dipping our toes in the water to like getting in the water.
Right.
So we knew that we wanted a facility. So we believe Baton Rouge, that market is big enough to stand up like a full branch. We think that branch will be in the $6 to $8 million a year range once it's fully built out. So we didn't want to just have like a satellite yard, right? So we looked for a proper facility where we could take something similar to this, but on a little bit of a smaller scale, emulate it, build it there. So the culture, the feeling, the atmosphere in Baton Rouge at this point is very similar to St. Rose, right? It's a pretty office. It's a nice space. Everything's well organized. The trucks are clean. The trucks are organized. And what we've done is we brought several managers. We moved several managers from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. We recruited a branch manager who trained here in New Orleans for an extended period of time. We still have a lot of influence from like the New Orleans management team. Like you heard Paul speak earlier, who runs our maintenance division. He spends a day a week. Paul's incredible. Yeah. So we're making sure that we've got like the right influence there. Nubia, she spends time in Baton Rouge, and once again, like it definitely. I'll tell you, like one of the not cons, but one of the variables or things that we have to contend with in opening other branches. It does start to like dilute a bit the team, right? So, in my opinion, you need to have the right team, and the team's got to have the bandwidth to do that. Because if the team doesn't have like main location running the right way, and we try to start open location 2 or 3 or 4, like as that team becomes watered down, I think in my opinion, you could really lose, or we could lose some of what we've built our reputation on here. Yeah. That's something that we're like keenly aware of as we look at location 3, 4, and 5 ahead.
Yeah, I love it. The best part, the key takeaway here is start small when you expand out. Very small. Job site trailer, container, small yard, not sexy, probably not the best location, right? Fill it out. But I like how you brought a few team members from the main mothership out to this location, get a little more business, and then you open a facility. And I love that part. I got 2 more things to discuss. You experienced sort of a horrific event in a hurricane. We're in the middle of hurricane country, but I feel like every so often a big one comes. Tell me about what happened there and what was the morale like as a team coming together? This is sort of an epic event. You didn't have a roof here. I mean, you're like, we still got to do work. People need a paycheck. And tell me about that sort of high level, what happened.
Yeah, so Hurricane Ida in 2021 came more or less like right over our office. It also came over, there are a lot of us that live a bit west of here. Came over our houses, created a lot of damage, wind damage. So it was like a blessing and a curse, so to speak. We did a lot of hurricane cleanup work, which was a blessing from like a revenue standpoint. Ultimately, like what Hurricane Ida did by ripping off a piece of the roof and blowing water into the front of the building is it it created an opportunity for us to not only, obviously we had to repair the building, but we knew that we were outgrowing the space, so we built into the warehouse and did some renovations, hired a great architect that made some really great suggestions on how to better utilize the space. So that was the blessing part. It did help us come together as a team. Again, like we have parishes, not counties in Louisiana. We're in St. Charles Parish, so we did a lot for the parish. We provided meals and water and cleaning supplies and other things to parishioners. We had a parking lot serve as like a drive-through because they could drive and load everything up, and I mean it was awesome. I had people like Greg Herring drive in a U-Haul truck from Texas full of supplies. It was really just great opportunity to support the community. Ultimately, I think in a lot of ways the team did. We kind of rallied together. On the downside, it is a lot of stress. I mean, you have people not only are they experiencing issues at their here, they're experiencing issues at home. Their families having issues. Their kids might be out of school, and so I think it was really a time where it made us, in some ways, we were rushing to try to get things done and make stuff happen for our customers, but we also had to be really aware of how people felt and what they were experiencing.
Their families and their housing and everything else.
So while there were certainly some stress as a result of that, particularly in the moment, I think as we came out of it, on the back end, people really realized how much we care, and the fact that if it wasn't Chase Mullin himself willing to do something, it was somebody else in the office willing to take their job for them, and we literally had landscape architects driving trucks to go clean up sites, and so everybody came together as a team, banded together, and made it happen.
That's true. It's very impressive. I saw a lot of the social media stuff, and everyone was just pitching in where they can. And sometimes they had to go back home early to take care of stuff, and everyone sort of donated their time, build revenue. Everyone got paid. Essentially, this community is great. I mean,
we have to be delivered.
We have to be sort of glued together, and everyone helps each other along the way. I get this question all the time, Chase, and maybe you can provide some insight on this. You've evolved from going I need 2 careers of successful business to now a CEO of a rather large business, multiple locations. What are you looking at as a CEO? I mean, you're not putting bits together. You're not continuously looking at jobs and loading trucks and things. What does a CEO at Mullen Landscape do on a sort of regular basis? If there's 2 or 3 things that you can recommend to our audience of running the team.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that there is some level of review, and let me back up and say, I'm absolutely a visionary CEO.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there are 2 kinds too, right? I don't think the visionary is there. I think there's some really tactical CEOs.
Yeah.
And some people who probably do both great, zoom in, zoom out. I have the ability to zoom in a bit, but I much prefer to be zoomed out.
Wow.
But I've learned that zooming in on certain things is really important. So I have a dashboard that I look at every week.
I love that.
Right, I look at the dashboard.
You can see the metrics of how everything's working.
I review a cash flow report with our controller. I want to know everything about cash for that week, for the week previous. I want to know everything about AP and AR. I know a lot about AR. I've learned that through experience.
You didn't sign up for something like that with 2 trucks, right? You
That's
just had
correct.
to jump in. I mean, we get into this business of landscaping because we like to mow, we like to touch, we like to build cool stuff. But you had to jump in and learn these things because otherwise you would not be in the spot.
That's right. A lot of them I've learned through trial and error.
Yeah.
I made some errors, and so I've learned what's important to look at. But you hear cash is king. Cash really is king, particularly when you transfer from residential where they're paying on completion to commercial where it's not atypical for 90 plus days on some of these jobs before we receive our final payment. So the other thing that's really big is really just motivating and keeping the team aligned. I've got people like we just mentioned, Paul, who they're great at running their segments of the business, and ultimately they are the ones who run the business. But I've got to keep them motivated and aligned, like I just said, on where we're going, what's next. I find that, and again, we've got some great people, and they've got the ability to pull up too and really think about visionary things with the business, but I think that it's really helpful. It's part of my responsibility to make sure that I'm pulling them out of the weeds at times and helping them think about what's ahead. We just talked about future locations. Well, a big part of that, they're dealing with the tactics of what do the numbers look like and when exactly are you going to get there. I'm the one that's facilitating the meetings on like, hey, let's build these things out and start putting dates and targets and goals to what, when and when it's going to be and what they're going to look like, etc.
So you're the visionary. What do you do to unveil the vision for the team? Is it a weekly meeting, monthly, quarterly, town hall, leadership? You have a leadership team to sort of unveil those things, and then they trickle down to everyone else?
So we have a leadership team. They're responsible. They meet with their divisions on a weekly basis. So they really push a lot of what we talk about. We meet weekly as a leadership team.
Right.
Each leader meets with their respective division on a weekly basis. They push a lot of that stuff down on a bigger scale. We have a quarterly meeting that's relatively in-depth. I send a monthly, very detailed email with financial information to the team. And then we do an offsite that's typically two days and 2 nights. We'll really spend a lot of time recapping the previous year and talking about what's coming for the current year, in the current year. And from that, I think it gives us a lot of opportunity in those monthly emails or those quarterly meetings to talk about hey, you remember guys, last month or last quarter we talked about we were going to do these things, we've done them. Yeah. Here's where we are, they're in progress. So while the team is not necessarily holding us accountable, I think they kind of hold us accountable, at least I operate like they're holding us accountable.
And that's great.
So I feel like we've got to communicate with them and keep them updated, even when it's not the kind of updates we want to provide. Hey, we ran into a roadblock, but here's what we're doing.
Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Love it. So to wrap up, this is great. What's the mission for Mullen now? I mean, the sky's the limit without giving us too much information, but I know you got a vision. You've got the mothership here in New Orleans. You've got the Baton Rouge. I'm sure Baton Rouge has got some more growth plans. But what else is on the horizon for you guys?
Yeah, great question. So once again, Baton Rouge, we've got a lot of energy and focus and momentum with. We've got really lofty goals there. And as we look westward, all the way into the east coast of, southeast, we'll call it Texas.
Yeah.
We've got a ton of opportunity. We're working, it's an hour west of Baton Rouge, small market, Lafayette. We've got a number of jobs there. We've got a number of jobs in Lake Charles, which is another market, an hour west of there. So I think really for us, it's the right jobs, the right clients. It's places where we believe that we can bring value, right? If we're bringing value and they respect the value that we bring and they're willing to pay for the value, because they're looking for best possible outcome. That's the kind of jobs that we're going after. Yeah. So once again, we've got a hungry team. We've got some great people. We plan to continue to grow, but we also plan to continue to provide great service where we are. Yeah. So we want to grow, but we are not losing focus, right? Some of the primary responsibilities and who we are and what's made us.
Yeah, it's kind of where your clients take you a little bit, right? You're kind of dabbling your feet once again in certain markets, and as opportunities come up in these markets, then you can establish a little more presence, and then that could be the next thing on the horizon. Well, it's an unbelievable setup. What I like about this place is, Chase, it's just a square building. It's simple and it's clean. It's got concrete floors, as you can see. It's got some openness, but you can see these awesome, pictures of displays of things going on. Listen, it's not amazing. There's no sort of high level of detail. It's just simple floor plan. You've added on some here throughout the facility and it makes great.
Ready to take the next step? Download our free Profitability Scorecard to quickly create your own baseline financial assessment and uncover the fastest ways to improve your business. Just go to mcfarlandstanford.com/scorecard to get yours today. To learn more about McFarland Stanford, our best-in-class peer groups, and other services, go to our website at mcfarlandstanford.com, and don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. See you next time on The Roots of Success.